Hey yo, what's up? What's going on, MMA fans? I'm back to do another video right now to talk about, man, some news that I just recently heard out. I don't know if you all may have heard about it yet, but I heard that Thiago Silva tested positive for steroids. And on one part of it, I guess the test that he was taking, the second part hasn't come back yet, but yeah, he tested positive, and so did Thiago Silva. Thiago Alves. But I want to talk about Thiago Silva first. Now, what's kind of funny to me, kind of strange to me, is that if you go back and look at whenever I made the video, when he fought Brandon Vera in UFC 125. Now, this is proof now. You can go back and you can look at my video post-fight of that, Thiago Silva versus Brandon Vera. Go back and look. And I said in that video that I felt as if Thiago Silva was on something. I thought that he may have been on steroids or some type of enhancement, drug. That's just what I felt. And my reason being is because, let me just say something here. Brandon Vera had just come off a couple of losses. He was well motivated. You seen the fire in him. Even though we always hear about Brandon Vera being motivated, and we always hear about him talking about what he's gonna do when he get in there, how he's gonna beat the other guy up, and how he's back and this and that. But I really believed him this time. And for the most part, when he went out there, Brandon Vera really was letting it all hang out. He was balls to the wall. He was swinging them. They were throwing them. But the only time that he would lose the fight is when Thiago Silva would grab him. Now, I'm not saying that it's completely impossible for a guy like Thiago my bad, I'm calling him Thiago Alves, but what I really mean to say is Thiago Silva. All right. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for a guy like Thiago Silva to to manhandle a guy like Brandon Vera. But what's strange is that how Thiago Silva, he couldn't even stand it. Okay, Rashad Evans treated Thiago Silva like a rag doll in the wrestling. He couldn't really keep him down, but he took him down repeatedly over and over. Okay, and on the one point, honestly, in a couple of other of Thiago Silva's fights, I seen, he was taken down rather easily by Machida. He was foot sweep and tripped and thrown on the ground. And when he fought Houston Alexander picked him up right before, he beat the shit out of Houston Alexander when Houston Alexander used to be in the UFC. Houston Alexander picked him up like he was a rag doll, kind of. So, all I'm saying is that Thiago Silva, he may have, some good wrestling here and there, but he's not that good at wrestling. And for him to go in there and do to a guy what Randy Couture couldn't even do. Randy Couture had problems with Brandon Vera in the clinch. He couldn't really take Brandon Vera down the way he wanted to. Even Brandon Vera scored a takedown on Randy Couture. So Brandon Vera is a pretty good wrestler. He's decent. You're not going to just go in there and manhandle him unless you're John Jones or somebody like that. But even then, Thiago Silva, he was just something not right. The way he was able to really hold Brandon Vera down and treat him like a rag doll and just beat on him for 3 rounds. Just like it was just easy with no problem. Just, just, okay. Thiago Silva looked a lot more solid. He looked a hell of a lot stronger. He didn't have really any body fat. Now I know what you're saying is, oh, well, he had a long layoff and he had time to train, and at first he had a back injury like dumbass Joe Rogan said. Yeah, all that, but get that out of here. Look, I don't give a damn. All right, you ain't finna go in there and you ain't finna just manhandle a guy like Brandon Vera and beat him down and treat him like he's a rag doll like that. Just out of the blue, just easy like that. Now, even though I know Brandon Vera hasn't really looked the same since he was at heavyweight, but at the same time, he's still a good fighter, man. That's not shit on this guy completely. Brandon Vera is one of my favorite fighters, and I know he hasn't been looking that impressive lately, but actually in that fight, to me, he did look a little bit better impressive in the stand-up. He was winning the stand-up in my opinion, but when Thiago Silva put his hands on him and he grabbed him and took him to the ground, that's when, he looked terrible because, like I said, in my video, Thiago Silva just looked like he was on something. He looked way too strong. Now, I'm not saying he can't be just as strong without taking those enhancement drugs, but he was obviously on something, and that goes to say that I was right about what I was thinking, because the UFC just, well, I just seen that, like I said, I don't know if you guys heard about it or not, but check up on it. You'll see that the UFC just said that that this guy tested positive for steroids. Him and Thiago Alves, but I'm talking about Thiago Silva right now. Yeah, like I said, man, I felt that he was on something. He just looked way too strong out of the clear blue like that, just out of nowhere. A guy just to get that strong overnight. I mean, yeah, he's a strong guy. Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah, he can fight, and I like the guy and everything like that. But it just didn't add up to me. It just didn't add up to me. And call it what you want, man. But I'm pretty good at it's kind of easy for me to tell a guy who's on something. You know what I'm saying? When a guy is never really been that dominant in wrestling his whole career, then all of a sudden, I don't care if you're the best. I don't care how many medals you got for wrestling, and if you're ranked. I don't care how high you are. That goes for anybody in the sport. I don't care how good you are. If you've never been that dominant, then all of a sudden overnight you get that dominant. Something's not right. Something's not right. Kind of like the Chael Sonnen thing. Chael Sonnen is a great wrestler. He's always been good at wrestling, okay? He has a wrestling background. He was a wrestling champion. But at the same time, the way Chael Sonnen was able to just come out overnight and just dominate guys like he dominated Chael Sonnen and Yushin Okami, guys that are very strong and then ranked, at the top of the middleweight division, and Anderson Silva come out and just treat these guys like ragdolls, which even when he was in the WEC, he was beating guys in wrestling, but he was just totally just smashing guys and running through them and eating all the shots and taking them to the ground and beating them and treating them like they were nothing and just running through that shit. Look, man, you guys got to, that's not happening, These guys are on something, and you know what? I lose a lot of respect for these guys. I know these guys want to win. I know they don't want to lose. They're in the UFC, the biggest show for case for mixed martial arts, period, ever. I know these guys want to do their best, but look, man, if you have an advantage over a guy because you're on enhancement drugs, it's not cool. It's not right. You could really hurt that person, and I knew damn well he just couldn't go in there and just beat the shit out of Brandon Vera like that. I knew something was wrong, even though he could have very well won that fight without him being on anything. But the way he won that fight and the way he manhandled him, treated him like a bitch, a ragdoll, beat the shit out of him. Brandon Vera wasn't able to get up. He wasn't even able to stall a takedown, not even for a second. Something did not look right to me, period. So, like I said, don't take my word for it. Check up on it for yourselves. You'll see that this guy got caught with something in his system. Steroids. Read about it. Look up on it. And like I said, it's fucked up. And I think that they should bring Brandon Vera back in. Give him another shot, another chance, because this was unfair to him. And I do believe that Brandon Vera would have won that fight if Thiago Silva was not on that shit. Yeah, man, how can you feel good about yourself when you have to get your victory off of cheating? I don't understand that, and for all you assholes who say that enhancement drugs or steroids don't improve your performance, you're a fucking retard, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of other guys on here who say that, oh, enhancement drugs doesn't do anything for your performance. Get the fuck out of here. If not, then why the fuck do you take it? You know what I'm saying? You can say, oh, because, these guys don't want to get tired as fast, or this and this, yada, yada, yada. They have injuries and it helped them with their injuries. Shut the fuck up. Like I said, steroids, they increase your strength, your power, your speed, and a lot of guys, they take this, because it just increased what they already have. And like I said, Fedor just said that in one of his other interviews. I heard him in, he was saying, how some guys take these steroids to, increase their performance and performance enhancement. So these things, they help. These drugs obviously help these guys, man, with their performance. So anybody who doesn't believe that, you're in denial, and you just need to really look into it a little bit deeper. So like I'm saying, I don't really have respect for guys who do this shit, and it's a lot of other people in MMA and in every sport, but I'm talking about MMA right now. It's a lot of these guys out there on this shit, and I'm not going to tell you who else I think is on this shit, because I know a lot of you fucking fans will start crying and, you know, start boo-hooing and don't want to hear it. But yeah, it's true. So like I said, I'm not gonna get into all that. But Thiago Silva, I knew he wouldn't be able to dominate Brandon Vera like that. You know, it was just something not right to me. So you guys let me know what you think. I'm out. Yeah.